about that. I don't know why this thing just started playing randomly. Um, Shoot, I can't hear you all at all. I might have to go out and come back in again.
It was our fault why she didn't hear us because you couldn't hear us either. But now you can hear us. She'll be back in a second. I had the wrong microphone selected.
That's
It's when you have a complex system like mine, where it's about 2 feet deep in wires, that happens. I will apologize to her when we get back, and then we'll get going. So Susan is very, very interesting. She is the owner of Divine Connections. She offers many services that may be of interest to you folks, and I hope you will be. And as soon as she gets back, we will join with her and get going.
Yay.
You can hear us now. Yeah, I know, because I turned the right microphone on, Marty. Hey, West. There's an echo. Okay, let me get the other microphone ready and I'll swap over to it.
I'm gonna walk off and cuss again because I forgot it was on me. Sorry, everybody, by the way.
Okay, hang on. I got to turn it on. It's not on. It's not on.
I can I put it on?
I can't. It's not on. I haven't started it. Here, there's yours. There you go. Thank you. All right.
How's everybody doing? By the way, can everybody hit the like button and subscribe? See,
Yeah.
I remembered to say it this time.
Yes, hit the like button and subscribe. All right. We'll use this one. If you don't start things in the right order, things don't work in SpringYard. So anyway, yeah, we don't have any echoing microphones or anything like that, and I'm going to turn this one off, so it's not an issue. You can give it back. There she is. Let me bring her in. I am so sorry. I had the wrong microphone selected. It was all my fault. It had nothing to do with you.
I thought it was me.
We have an extremely complicated system that I do a lot of stuff with, and I forgot to select the right microphone. It's all my fault. So Susan's with us tonight.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for coming. Oh boy, have I enjoyed looking over your website and all the things you do, and I'm anxious to hear about them, as I'm sure our audience is. So please tell us about you, and then we'll go through the things you do, because that is an interesting list of abilities. I'm especially interested in your Irish history and all that stuff. What is a Fae, and why are you 85% Fae? Those things are so interesting to me. So tell us all about you as you wish.
Well, most people said, "When did you awaken?" I said, "I came in awake." I didn't realize when I was little and in third grade, I used to play telepath games out at recess with my friends and get them to sit in a little circle with me. I had three other girls that I played these games with. But what I didn't realize was I was also, at the time I was remote viewing. I didn't have a name for it. I just thought that was part of my psychic ability because I could go there, taste, touch, smell, and but I'm always an observer when I go back in time. Sometimes they interact with me. It depends. Like from that instance, when I was 9, I remember one of my friends went to. I was living near Philadelphia then, and they had this concert venue called the Spectrum. And she was 9, and her 17-year-old sister took her to a concert there. and they had these bathrooms down in the bowels of that building, and they were so scary. They had the flickering fluorescent lights.
Oh,
If they were working, it reeked of urine, and you're afraid you're going to be murdered down there. It's how dark and scary it was. And she got lost, and she was 9. I mean, it was that place was traumatizing to have to go to the bathroom when I was a late teen, let alone 9 years old. But I remember I was in the bathtub at home because I used to take a bath at nighttime then. Um, and I blacked out, and all of a sudden I'm in the bathrooms at the Spectrum, and I'd been there for the ice capades and things like that, and so I knew where she was at that age, and but I couldn't do anything, and I couldn't call her because it was the 70s, and you didn't call anybody after 9 o'clock. But the next day, and that was my friend Tony Taylor. I still wonder how she's doing. She's on my Facebook now, but anyways, I said, Tony, what happened? I saw you and you were crying and you looked like you were lost and it looked like you're in at the Spectrum. And she said, I got lost. My sister took me to a concert last night and I was so scared I was crying, but I couldn't do anything. All I could do was observe and like, oh, what's happened to my friend? But then it was, I just remember everything going black where I was in the tub and I was actually at that location. But when I've done it more recently, because I went to an advanced platform mediumship class back in, uh, was it 2016 or 2017? Because my friend was going, it was at the Universalist Church in Northern Jersey, and they have a lot of good instructors there if you want to work on any of your psychic abilities. And I said, I don't do this for a living like you do. And she says, but you are advanced, come with me. So I was like, okay, I'll go. And we get there and we spend the night, which was also kind of funny because it was a long drive. And when you're on a long drive, it still feel like you're moving. And I'm trying to sleep in this twin bed. And then there's like this Marine Corps devil dog ghost floating in the middle of the room.
oh
And
my
he's
God. Oh my God.
looking at me. And I was so tired and annoyed. I just told it, look, you're going to have to try harder, mofo, because you're not scaring me. And I just turned my back to it and tried to go to sleep. Because I've seen ghosts and aliens and stuff since I was a little kid. But anyways, we go to the platform mediumship thing, and I just felt connected. I was with my guides that morning, and I don't usually volunteer to be one of the first people. I'll observe everybody else and see how it goes till I feel comfortable, and then I'll volunteer. But this time I was the third one to volunteer because I could see where I was. There was I was connected to this Irish fisherman, and when I was up on the stage and I'm going like this, and when I was doing that, I could bring the ship's bells and everything got louder, and I could smell the bait and taste the salt air on my tongue. It must have been the third time I did that because I was like, he's chopping bait and he's joking with me about what's better to catch the fish he's catching, squid or something else he was cutting
Wow.
up. And then I saw him get on his boat and he took off northwest off the west coast of Ireland from the Ring of Kerry and he disappeared out by High Brazil somewhere. But while I'm trying to say this, my instructor gets up on the stage and he's like, stop, stop. You're remote viewing. You're not doing psychic work. And I said, this is how I always see.
Right.
And when he did that, this glass screen, it was really big, like the size of a big TV, popped up midair, and I could see through it. But while I was describing the fisherman, I was outside of Tralee, where the Carry is, and there's one road that goes in and out, and I was there in 1984, standing on that road right there, so I knew what I was looking at. And I was like, oh, it's Ring of Kerry, it's Tralee. And he almost blocked that, but he was telling me to stop remote viewing, but this screen still popped up that only I saw and nobody else did. And then he let it out that he was former naval intelligence. And I think this stuff got him upset because and that was just another one of those things where it's like, oh, see, you're in classified programs. I don't want you doing that in front of the whole audience because you're doing classified things. And
Oh.
yeah, I didn't know how this was, but yeah, I was just pulling the whole scene closer to me like that. And so it's just all these confirmations. Like I don't have any actual paperwork. I wasn't in the actual real military here, but yeah, stuff like that. And I remember telling my friend Deborah later, she says, "Oh, by the way," she said, "there's a devil dog ghost in that room that floats around in the air." And she said it was a dog ghost, but to me, worked with a bunch of Marines and stuff. So I was
Yeah.
like, "Semper Fi, devil dog," when he was in the room, because I'm a wise ass anyway. But
No, I couldn't tell that.
yeah, Semper Fi, hoorah, devil dog, I'm going to sleep. But yeah, Deborah's like, "You weren't scared?" I said, "No, he wasn't really doing anything scary, but floating there with his red beady eyes,
Oh my
that's what's
God.
scary to me." It was just kind of stupid, to be honest.
Well, do you know if it was just a animal spirit or was it something else? Because my mom saw a black dog before she passed a few times in her dreams and also while awake, and I can't find any information about that. The dog.
I have to look because I've heard, shoot, I know I've heard legends about the black dog because I've also seen the black eyed person when I was a police officer by
What?
accident. Yeah. Well, I was also on top of, yeah, I used my psychic abilities as a police officer and detective too. I got into detectives in 2.5 years because I would have a lot of precog dreams. And when I was working on things, and I would pray a lot, but praying, because I was cradle Catholic, so praying, I would do that all the time anyway in my head. And praise is part of, I don't care what words you use, it's manifesting and you're connecting with the universe and spirit.
Mm.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I've always been connected because I believed in my angels and actually saw them. And I have two of them and they're two little blue guys. Well, it depends.
You have two little blue
Some-
guys?
yeah, sometimes when they're just hanging out, they're little, but when they see other people, they'll get really big and stand behind me. So. Um, yeah, because they scared one lady that was doing a 12 strand DNA. What's that, 12 or 24 strand DNA activation? I forget what her name was. So that was back in 2012. She's like, you have these big guys with you. I said, I know there's two of them. Can you see them? And she's like, yeah, they're blue. I said, I know. She's like, you're not scared? I said, no, they take care of me. They don't, they've always been with me.
Mm.
And
Our friend Tammy, who is saying hello to us, and I'm sure she's saying hello to you. She is a retired police officer or still a police officer?
She retired, but
Retired,
her and
yeah.
her dog best friend, who's awesome, still help with certain cases off the record.
You can imagine the type of case. So I just wanted to tell you that I also smell the Irish Sea and all the sprays, but I didn't do it by doing this. I did it by spending a year in Dublin
I lived
at
I
Trinity
lived in the
College.
north, and I lived in the north during the troubles for about 6 months.
Ooh,
So, yeah,
ooh.
I've got very strong opinions about the occupation then, because I was considered a native. So and
Well, native and Catholic and living in the north, yeah, it was not an easy time.
yeah, it was not nice to be walking down the Falls Road in West Belfast and get a bullpup pointed between your eyebrows just looking Irish.
Um,
You didn't want to go out when the foot patrols were out because they would usually harass you. Let's put it that
Yeah,
way.
I have a good friend that was a British paramilitary officer and he has post traumatic stress syndrome from all of it. So I'm sorry you had to deal with it. I'm sorry anyone had to deal with it. I am so glad it's mostly in the past.
mhm.
Well, that's part of the reason why my family came over because they were rebels and had felony warrants on them. Because I'm a third generation American. Because they were also hedge teachers, um, part of my family tree. Um, and you weren't supposed to speak Irish. You weren't supposed to educate the natives. That was all felonies, and yeah, they, England would do.
So you have lots of interesting abilities and experiences. And so I'm interested in you sharing as much as you want, but I'm particularly interested in the quantum healing therapy, the Reiki therapy, and the I'm sorry, quantum hypnosis and the Feynman healing and the Reiki stuff. That's really interesting to a lot of people in our audience.
The quantum trance hypnosis is pretty cool. I'd had when I was training in that was like 4 years ago. I guess I did the training. I remember being on a beach with my counterpart, and this was like looked like Northern Ireland, but there was a land bridge from Scotland or from an island. And when the tide was low, he would walk over and he would play with me on the beach, and we were like 5 or 6. I don't know. Anyways, he would get stuck with me on my island when the tide rose if he didn't go back home. But one day I remembered, and this is just from memories, there was a man of war on the beach, and I told him not to touch it. And per usual, he didn't listen to what I said.
Oh
And
no.
yes, and he touched it with his hand. And I had to take him to the healer lady. And so I'm a little kid trying to pick up another kid and take him to the healer, and that was all I had of the memory. So I purposely try to grab onto that little bit of memory that I had when I did the quantum trance. So I'm like, okay, I want to go back to this beach and see where it goes from there. And then this was the really cool part because the healer lady was my fake great grandma, and she told me, I'm gonna get choked up right now. She told me she had been waiting for me, that I was supposed to be the healer now. And she was pretty proud of me too.
Oh.
That was pretty neat. But also when you do that, I went to another past life where I was very pregnant, and um the person that was my husband, the two of us were going to unite some clans with this marriage or pregnancy. Um, but I remember seeing Marduk had some kind of meeting with these alligator head people because they had like these tiki torches, and he said, "I want you to kill her." And I wasn't aware of this at the time. I saw it later when I was dying that it was him that did this. But I was out on kind of what looked like the ring of Terra up there, and I was walking around trying to bring my pregnancy on, I think, or just getting some exercise, and I got run through with a sword. And yeah, and that was a female child. And for some reason, I'm not allowed to have female children in this lifetime. They keep killing them. So
I'm
'cause I
sorry.
have 2 sons now. But yeah, I don't know if she was supposed to be a demigod or what when she came through, but they don't want me to have this female child. And anyways, that was the fake part. Was my great grandma was telling me, we're Irish, we have certain gifts. And when she said, that's more of an American thing, saying you're Fae. It just means you have gifts, and I pretty much have all of them: the taste, touch, smell, the precog thing. The precog thing doesn't happen as often now, but I think it happened when I was a police officer to keep me safe because we're by myself. Um, as a backup could be 20 minutes, half an hour away, depending on where I was at. And also, I kind of wonder if it wasn't the Hulk program or some other super soldier stuff. Because when I was in the police academy, because we had our own academies, it wasn't like Pennsylvania where you pay to go through an academy. When you get hired, they put you through their own academy, the department. And I ended up scoring really high on the physical fitness. And I never was competing with the girls in my academy. I was competing with the guys, and I tied for
Wow.
second place for physical training. So, Yeah, and then they gave me this nickname, the Mighty Isis, which is still on my old jacket. Which, if you remember that TV show where she would hold on to her medallion and spin around and she'd become a superhero. But yeah, my friend Eric Roberts and on my squad named me the Mighty Isis. But
Did you perform with Eric Roberts?
no, this is my friend that's from Philadelphia, not
Different Eric Roberts,
not
not
the
Julia Roberts' brother.
no, not the actor. No.
So, so well, I don't know much about super soldiers, but could you
Well, we
talk?
can skip that part, but because
You
that
want?
brought me a lot of heartache. If you just want to talk
Oh,
about
okay. Yeah.
paranormal stuff and healing, but because that's the only reason I'm in Iowa right now is because I found the alternate version of my SSP husband here, and yeah, do not recommend. Um, yeah, that's why I focus more on the healing and UFOs and stuff like that because he's a malignant narcissist. And yeah, I wish I had never made the trek out here, to be honest,
Oh,
because it was nothing but spiritual warfare. And I don't, yeah, I talk about that off camera
right.
because yeah, it's bad, very bad.
I'm
Um,
sorry.
yeah, because everything I am, he's the opposite of, like extreme opposite.
So
Um,
like I asked you before in the chat, I ask everybody this. It's my favorite question. What was the craziest experience you've ever had in your entire life? Paranormal wise. Oh, hi, kitty cat.
Oh, there's a
She's so
beauty.
cute.
he had to come say hi. He's been Kirsten's seen his butt a little bit. Want to show you pretty face?
Oh,
Pretty face.
what a cutie.
That's my feral tuxedo cat that was on my porch when I came back from my dad's funeral in July, and he was just a little bitty 6 week old kitty. Now
Oh,
he's how old is he? 8 months old now. And when it got really cold last month, it was 17 degrees. I invited him in, and now he's my indoor kitty. So,
no.
There you go.
That's your gift.
That's a gift.
Yep.
well, there's other kitties out there, and they used to beat him up. So he
Oh,
wanted to go out there today. He went out there, and then that female kitty tried to beat him up, and he was cowering with his hair sticking up. And I went over and picked him up because I thought, you're not going to run away. Don't you like it in the house? It's nice and warm, and you get to eat whatever you want.
no. I used to have a my black cat's name was Farley because I used to have a crush on Chris Farley, the comedian. And he was the best cat in the world. Oh, he was like my best friend. So he was a little chubber after a while. He was smart though.
But shoot, the scariest thing. Well, I was a cop, so I've got all kinds of crazy stuff that's happened. But I'm also a smart ass, so I'll see things try to scare me, and then I'll start smack talking them when I'm telepathing them. But I think one of the scariest things that happened was, well, if you're into police stories, this one was pretty good because I was training this new guy. This I guess this was back in '96 or something. And Recom's calling me and they're like, we have this out of control 6-year old. And my inner monologue's going, people need to have a license to have children now.
Right? Yep.
And they're like, go to the this other channels where we could freely talk. So, the whole county's not listening to us. And she says, look, this 6-year old was kidnapped by Satanists in Ohio. She's out of control. Her The police found her in Ohio and returned her to her parents, and they moved to Delaware where I was. And we're listening to this, and I'm kind of wondering if we're not being punked, because I got this new guy in the car, this rookie, and I'm driving, so it must have been the first couple of days because the first week they would be on FTO for 5 months at least. And he says, what do we do? I said, you went to Catholic school. If you're praying, man, you better start praying and call your guides in because they're talking about Satanists and stuff. I don't know what's going on with this little kid. I know what to do with two-legged offenders, but I'm not sure what to do with demons. So you better
Oh my
start praying and call your guardian angels. And he says, "What? Are you serious?" I said, "Oh yeah, this is shit they don't teach you about in the academy, man. You better start praying to your guardian angels and asking for protection." He's like, "You're doing that?" I said, "I'm doing it in my head as I'm sitting right here driving." I'm like, "Oh,
my
please, God, please send my angels to protect me." So we get there, and it's like this ranch house, and I just stand on the top step, and I hate that because I always like to stand on the side in case somebody tries to shoot at you out the door. So I knock
God.
on the door, and Mom opens, and there's this little girl, and she's hurling herself into the drywall, and she's got dents the length of her body in the drywall between the 2x4s. And I know I could see my angels because I could see their peripherals are as tall as me, and I could, see their profile a little bit. But when I try to peek, they disappear. But I knew they were there. And as soon as she saw me, she stopped and she puts her hands on her knees and does this wrestler stance, and she's going. And Brian doesn't know what's going on because I know my angels are next to me, but I just wouldn't talk about stuff like that because I didn't want them to think I was crazy.
Yeah.
And I knew she was looking at my angels, and she felt like the cavalry was there. That's why she had the big smile on her face. And then she stood up, and when she stood up, like this horseshoe of gold went all the way around her into the floor. And in the horseshoe, this was her halo. It's not like a saucer, it's like a horseshoe. There's all these twinkling white lights in it, and that was more angels. And she was just so happy to see my angels that she wasn't scared anymore. And whatever the spiritual warfare, the attack she was under, just stopped. And I said to Mom, because I'm not a Bible thump or anything. I said, "Mom, when I get scared, I pray to Saint Michael, because he's my patron saint, and he's also the saint of people born on Sunday, also me."
Mhm.
And that's what I do, and I ask my angels to come in and help me. And I said, "Do you want me to do little Saint Mike's prayer and go tuck her in?" And she's like, "Okay," because I didn't want to offend her with any religious stuff. So I kind of wings one and let the little girl hold on to my Saint Mike's medal. That was my talisman. And the little girl was asleep like in 5 minutes. And Brian could not stop talking about it. Roll call the next day. He's like, "I'm so scared. We're in the car. Susan's telling me I better start praying to my angels and ask for divine intervention because we're
Oh
going to
my
be
God.
facing some kind of demon." And he goes, "Then we get there, and the girl's hurling herself into the drywall. Then she does wrestler stance, and she's going, looking at Susan, and the demon's smiling at Susan, and Susan smiling back at it. Because what he didn't realize was she wasn't under attack anymore at that point. Like she was released from whatever it was. Because here I come in, with my, because I do glow. I come in shining. I got my angels next to me. She shows me her halo and all her angels, but Brian can't see any of this stuff. So he's missing out on all the interdimensional stuff that I can see because I'm Fae and he's not, even though he was of Irish descent. I have to tell him this story sometime. And he's like, "And then I didn't even know Susan liked kids. And she puts this kid that was just possessed by demons in the bed, and the kid's asleep in 5 minutes. I don't even know what happened." He's like, "I was just kind of standing there like."
Well, you must have thought you were a magician.
Right.
He did. He couldn't stop talking about. And I said, "Look, I couldn't even get my own kids to sleep that fast. It's just she saw me for who I was. I saw her
Right.
for who she was, and I realized why she'd been kidnapped because she was one of these souls that was like straight out of the guff, all glowing. Even though she was sick, she was still really close to God. That I've never seen anybody with a halo like that before. That was just shoot. I gotta write my book and then just
Did
about
you
the
ever
cop
go
stuff.
back? Did
Hmm?
you ever hear from her again or go back?
No, I went back like a few years later when I wasn't a police officer. Nobody answered the door because I was dying to know what happened to that little girl.
Mm.
But I was hoping everything was all right because I gave mom my card and I said, if you have any problems again, just call me and I'll come out and help. And yeah, I never heard from that little girl again.
I
But
always
yeah,
wondered. Oh, go ahead.
that's
Go
like
ahead.
stuff when you run into when you're a cop and you're like, man, I wonder what happened to that person, you know?
Right. I always wondered what police officers go through if they. I always like hearing that because a police officer, I don't see them as, oh, they're into paranormal. I just see them as protectors. So it's interesting to me to hear stories that they went through that was odd or demonic or ghostly or UFO. I think that's really neat, actually.
Well, my late husband was also a police officer with me, David, and one of the reasons we ended up connecting because my best friend Julie that I went to police academy was sometimes you can just tell when people can see beyond the veil. And I can't remember who brought it up first, me or her, but we just know stuff. Yeah, I don't
Right.
know what it's just a knowing. Like I know that when somebody walks by me that they've committed these crimes and even what kind of drugs they prefer. And I don't know why I know that. Why am I supposed to know that? And then I got to keep all this information to myself because what good is this information for? Like, I don't need to know everybody's business unless they're a bad person and I need to. Like, used to joke that I would scan people for threat level.
It's true, though. Yeah, we can do that. It's interesting.
But I wish it worked more for romantic partners, though. It doesn't seem to work for that, or to like play the lottery or anything like that. That would be very useful. Works for me for like my girlfriends when they're dating, they'll send me pictures. What do you think of this guy?
But
I'm sitting
yeah,
there looking at it, going, "Oh, he's got two baby mamas. Ooh, oh no, he's got a DV history." Like, what? You can tell that by looking at him. Like, yeah, I'll get little glimpses, like an 8 millimeter tape of them doing something bad. I'm like, oh no, you don't want none of that.
yeah, that's your turn. Sorry.
No, I'm good. You keep going.
So when I look at people, the living, I read their eyes. I can tell what you're talking about. I can see it if I look through their eyes. One eye shows their outer life, and the one eye shows inside of the secrets they keep and health and stuff like that. It's interesting hearing from you because I don't usually hear that all the time. That you can sense that stuff. I think it's neat.
I have a lot of um shoot. With the eye thing, I've documented like 11 different pupil shapes so far, and like dragon and lyran and all these other things. And even I have a picture of me with like my pupils look like plus signs, and um, mm. which also reminds me of some other weirdness. I remember when I was doing my Holy Fire Reiki Master upgrade. Um, when we did the holy fire, it was meditation for 3 days. They didn't put attunements in you like they do with other Reiki styles. Well, they didn't do that for the holy fire master. And I remember when I went to do an exchange on one of the first girls, she was sitting in a chair, and all of a sudden, the old green computer code started coming down into her head, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And that was really matrixy. Yeah, I'll see weird stuff and that nobody else is seeing it, and I'm like, what is the universe telling me here?
But
You know, when you see stuff you've never seen before, so I would like document it, and then like a year, 2, 3 years later, it would make sense. Because also when I was doing that, I remember during meditation, I could see myself floating around the room in like this lotus position, but I also saw myself um, in a ship, and I was going to different planets, picking up super soldiers and healing them and taking them to wherever they wanted to go. If they wanted to go to a colony, come back to Earth or whatever. which was weird. I remember seeing that too. I don't know. I got so many weird experiences. What else do you want to hear about?
Do you want to ask a UFO question?
No, I don't care about UFO question. I care about what the stuff she does.
Well, do
Oh,
you?
with the Famon healing you were talking
Yeah, tell us
about.
about the healing process.
Um, see, I just do that without any Reiki symbols whatsoever. Because when they did the holy fire, we were told not to use any symbols, but you'll still want to use symbols after using them for 10 or 15 years. So I had to remember not to do any. And basically, I'm pulling golden light down and pushing it through to upgrade your vibration, the stuck spots, pulling things out, pulling your chakras off, spinning them, dusting them off, putting them back in. It's sometimes I'll do Smarties method where I'm just pulling out, take a pendulum, especially if I'm doing it on a Zoom call, and I'm pulling whatever it is out so they can see because I can't always see how much energy I'm pulling out. I'm like, okay, got it, giving that back to God. Okay, we're gonna put perfectly perfect parts back in, and I'll tell the pendulum, and it'll start spinning because my energy's coming out of my hand. And when it stops, it's full. Um, and then, like, I remember from, I don't know if that's programs or different life, but I remember being in these caves where they had this golden honey stalagmites, stalactites, and you could just pull it off the ceiling. And if you had a burn or anything, you could put it right on. And it was instantly healing. It would make you younger too. And that's part of that golden light that I would pull in. And at the ends of sessions, after I'm pulling stuff off, because then you'll have little holes in your aura. I'll go back through and I put all that golden light all in it, so you're kind of like in a cocoon and just your face is sticking out like a little kid and you look all happy because I'm just doing this with my third eye going around, and then I'll use the pendulum and just walk around my table till they stop. But even when I do this online, um, I pull your energy body onto my table here, and the table's like this is my office. But
Oh,
there's my
nice.
table. I don't have sheets on it, and all my artwork's up here because I like to paint too. Um, but
I love
anyways, um, I bought this house because I wanted this room to be my office, and then I got all my herbal stuff, my apothecaries behind here, and there's
Is
my
the thing behind you teak?
yeah, and that's my Genesa crystal meditation device that Bill Tizing made for me, and
Did
that's
the
what
uh, did the blinds come from Thailand?
um this
Yes.
I got that when I was a cop back in Delaware years ago. With the
It's
chrysanthemum.
gorgeous. It's really gorgeous.
I've seen one like that for sale out here in Iowa nearby, and I just thought about buying the second one because I do need another one, so you don't see the mess on my desk. But like one of my friends, Amaria, she Lala knows her. When I pulled her energy body onto my table the first time years ago, she's like, I felt that. Like you felt like you pulled my aura. I said, yeah, that's why I asked you, can I take your energy body? Because I'm gonna pull it here, work on it, and then I'm gonna send it back to you. And it's kind of like your etheric body. I know it sounds really weird, but that's what I end up doing. So that's my version of healing. And then my guides will talk to me. I'll have people come in, and I got known as that retired cop from Delaware that's psychics. People come to me when they don't know what's wrong. Like I had one lady come to me because she had diverticulitis really bad, and she thought she had fibroids, and she says, it's funny because I saw her in yoga class and she was staring at me. And I had a sty on my eye that day, so I was wearing glasses because I usually never wear glasses. And I only had to start wearing glasses like 5, 10 years ago anyway. And I thought she was staring at me for that. But then she looked really sad, and I'm like, should I approach her or what? Then she approached me, and she said she wanted to come see me. She said I was driving around, and she said I saw the Pisces, the fish, and then I saw an S, and she said I thought that meant I was supposed to contact you because you're the S, you're Susan. I said I'm also a Pisces. She
Wow.
I said, so yeah, you're supposed to come see me. But she's telling me she's got fibroids. I'm on her right side scanning her with my hand, like not feeling that because I only work on so many people a day because I'll also feel their pain in my body as mine, so I can decrease their pain, which is really awful. It's kind of like, God, I understand. I'm humbled to make
Right.
stuff. Oh well, it's just one of my gifts. So I go over and I put my hand over her descending colon and I almost vomited on her. It was like, and then I had to ask her, these process of elimination about, does I was like, oh, do you get diarrhea when the pain gets really bad? Does it smell like fish? That's when the infection's coming on. And then I got her taking oregano oil and her mumacapudia seeds 3 times a day with her meals when that comes on, so that can heal. And I got her on some probiotics because the doctors don't listen to people. Here she's going in telling them she can't even have relations with her. That almost broke my heart that this poor lady couldn't have, like, I don't know how she could have relations with her husband like that because it had to feel like somebody's putting a hot poker in her, literally, like, it
Right.
would be like that. That's how infected she was.
Mhm.
And yeah. For yeah. Ugh. So anyway, the next time I saw her a couple weeks later, she was smiling. I'm like, yay,
Oh, good.
this kind of sucks, but yeah, and then they'll be like, "Oh, that's it." But then I don't like it when like my yogis go, "Oh yeah, Susan's psychic," and that scares people, and they don't want to be my friend 'cause
Right.
they're scared I
Yeah.
know stuff about them. And it's like, well, I already know stuff because I worked on you, but that's between me and you and God. It's not between all these other people, you
Right.
know. And I'm not going to use your name if I'm talking about something.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, but I mean, I don't know, I was always kind of embarrassed about the psychic stuff because I got screamed about it from when I was 9, so it's kind of weird that I get paid to do it now. And then even telling my mom, she still mocked me recently and told me that the kids didn't want to hear about that. But then my daughter-in-law asked me to work on a couple of her clients when I was away at Christmas.
Okay.
So I think it's just like certain people in the family, like it skipped my mom, so she's scared of being Fae. My sister has a little bit, like when we were both there taking care of dad, I kind of like, she was talking about reading some different books, and she was reading that Maria Orsic one, and what's the Blatsky one? I said, "Oh yeah, I know who they are." And then she brought up something about UFOs, and I was like, "Yeah, they used me to telepath." She was like, "You can telepath?" I said, "I've been able to telepath since I was a little kid. My younger son can telepath me too." And so then when I was out running errands, all of a sudden I'm driving and I hear Grotto's Pizza in my head. Grotto's Pizza. Whereas first he was just saying pizza.
Oh.
And then then I'd hear cheesesteak another day. And I said, I texted him, apparently you want cheesesteaks for dinner. She's like, you heard me. She's all excited. I said, of course I can hear you. I was lying. I'm kind of embarrassed by all this stuff, to be honest, because sometimes I can hear other people who broadcast, which sometimes it's good in a way because I've actually heard people broadcast terrible things they wanted to do to me, so that makes me stay away from them,
Yeah.
um, or keep a yeah, and but I guess there's other bad guys that are just as talented as us good guys, and they'll use it for bad things, which I can attest to. I've been a victim of that kind of spiritual warfare too, because people got mad because they they couldn't manipulate me the way they wanted to, I guess.
Right. So I'm asking because I have, you know, how we have visitation dreams or psychic dreams, whatever people want to call it. For a while, years, I would have something scary in my dreams. Did you ever, is that part of like a psychic attack, or have you had something in your dreams that tries to intimidate you or get you off course, or?
I used to have, I kind of wonder if that wasn't a visitation. Like every year, once a year, there was these witches that would fly in through my bedroom window and try to kidnap me when I was a kid. And I'm the oldest of three siblings, and I was always the jock. So, they would say, my big sister's going to beat you up.
No.
So I'm trying to beat up these witches. And then I remember seeing Angela Ellison's post in Misha's Sunday group one time, and she posted these. Were they the mater? They were these really ugly looking grays, and they're really mean. But they kind of almost have the face of that 1960s witch with the long chin and the yeah. But I brought it up to my brother like 10 or 15 years ago. We were in Mom's kitchen. I said, "Do you remember having a dream where the witches would try to kidnap us every year?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." I said, "I don't think that was a dream if you were having it too." And he didn't say
Right.
anything. So I didn't push it. But yeah, he knows it wasn't a dream too, but he doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So, but now I guess I'm kind of known as the ET person in the family.
Are you
um,
O? Are you O negative blood? I'm O negative blood, and a lot of abductees or people that are visited are O negative or Irish, things like that.
My mom's O negative, and my two siblings are, and they're not the psychic ones. I am. I'm a O positive. But then I noticed a lot of people that were SSP. I kind of wonder if they didn't change their blood and make us O positive because it was just easier to work with O positive people.
Why do you say that? Why would it be easier? I don't know. I mean,
Because there's more of us, so it'd be easier to make a
okay.
batch of serums for O positives versus O negatives.
Yeah.
But because like the O negatives are good at sprinting, things like that, that use your fast twitch muscles, and the O positives, like I would be better at running like an 880 or some distance or cross country, because the O negatives might be faster, but they're going to run out of steam first, and I'm going to be running by them. But
Okay.
so if you're going to have kids, it's probably best for one to be O positive and O negative, because then they get the best of both worlds.
I have a question. So, and I want to preface it by uh, if anything about this question causes you any kind of pain, just tell me to blow it off. I'd like to hear about some experience that you feel you can tell of being in the secret space program.
Shoot, I remember 12 plus contracts at this point, or parts of them. Um, I remember they had us as a colonist on one place, which was weird because I remember sitting in this old, it was a folding chair, like you would have had like in the 80s with that ugly vinyl, those ugly vinyl strips on them that they kind of made look like um, tartan or something. Anyways, I was sitting in them in one of those, and I I had this beanbag gun, and there was a bunch of corn next to me, and there was these weird critters on that colony, and they look like pygmadillos. They had this nose that curled up, and they would squeal when because I'd shoot beanbags at them, so they stopped eating my freaking corn because it used to piss me off. And then we did have a still at that place, so it kind of became a game if you'd have a few drinks and go out and shoot the pygmadillos. And I mean that one wasn't bad. Let's see. like I even remember getting kidnapped by these it was some kind of insectilians because I was a mated pair with my mate out there the first I moved to Iowa for. Um anyways, um they kidnapped us. I don't think I was pregnant when we got there, but it was really weird because it was we were in this dark room. Um and I guess that they were watching us, but we couldn't see them because I remember this one female insectilian would come and I pleaded with her to let me go, and I was really pregnant, and I didn't even have any clothes on, but my ship was in their bay, and I ran like hell to my ship butt naked and I took the frick off while she did whatever so I could get going with my baby. But I know there's a couple babies I hid out there somewhere because I didn't want them to get them. Yeah, and I remember flying with one, and her name was Rachel, and she kind of looks like a thundercat. She's got black hair and blue eyes, like my grandpa Long did. And the weird thing was she was like 10 years younger than me. Those are nicer memories that I have. Um, because it goes from like that to like I remember being on a freighter one time and we had heavy equipment on it, earth movers and stuff like that. And I had to I guess I was just doing perimeter check or whatever in the ship, and I'm going through the hallways, and I get stuck by this airlock because pirates got on, and there was like five of them. I don't know why there was always freaking five pirates whenever somebody would try to get on your ship, but I remember I had a white smart suit at that point, and somehow with my mag boots, I climbed up on the wall, so my back is up on the ceiling almost. And I had this thing that looked like a fidget spinner in my hands. And this one guy, they looked really weird. They were mongoloid. They had spiders. It was like a black on black uniform, but they had these ugly faces and they weren't very tall. They were like 5'8", 5'9", and kind of mongoloid looking in the face. And I was cutting this guy's fingers off and he wasn't pulling his hand back. Like there was yeah, pain's supposed to make people pull their hand back. So I didn't understand that. And I remember calling for my counterpart because I had one down on the ground. I think he was dead. And I was working on him. Actually, I had two down then. I had the one that I was fighting with where I climbed up the wall backwards. And there were still two that were standing there looking at me fighting the one guy when my counterpart came up, and then I could hear him coming because he had his mag boots on. There were these magnet boots we wore on the ship. They were real loud, and it was bang, 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 those metallic sounds on the floor. And for some reason, I could hear him, but they didn't seem to be bothered that somebody was coming to my aid because they didn't even notice till he was right up on them, and then he took out the other two guys. But I've also I know the girl that was teaching us how to drive the freighter. Um, she's not public, but she grew up in Maryland, and she's in a state next to me, which is kind of weird because I was like, that's weird. I was in Delaware and you're in Maryland, and now we're both in the Midwest. How weird is that? Um, there's yeah, there's a lot of SFP stuff.
Okay,
um,
your turn.
Sorry, I have to go back. All right. What what's a good way? So a lot of people that have visitations or fae or psychic powers, it drains them a lot. Like when I give a reading, I get really tired, or my health isn't always the best till I pick up stuff. What are good things that people can do, either with herbs or energetic wise, that could kind of get them back on track again?
um, I like to take salt baths because I'll put like I don't consider myself a witch, but I will use black salt. And if I'm feeling
Yeah.
particularly funky, I'll take some angelica root, put it in one of those little woven bags, put that in there. But you could make a tea if you feel like doing all that and just keep it in the refrigerator because that's supposed to bring your angels in. And just put like a cup of that in your bath water. And but usually whenever I make it, by the next time I go to use it, it's got mold in it. So I
Oh
throw
God.
it away.
Kind of like
Oh,
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
we
And
have a few of her science experiments laying around here.
but like black salt, make it with when you're doing that on a full moon, because I just keep all my charcoal from when I burn resin stuff, and then I keep all from my, my sticks of incense, put them in a bowl, get some bloodroot, get some angelica root, and you can put it all in a bullet blender if you don't want to grind it up. But I'll just take and then I'll Reiki charge it to my highest good to clear off any black magic or any spell work or anything. Because I'll do that before I do Reiki or any distance healing because I want to be as clean as I possibly can before I work on anyone. And what else to put in there? Ooh, I'll show you.
I like her chair. It's
Yeah,
it's
that's a
cool.
great chair. I
I
love the
like
chair.
selenite. I have a couple sticks under this, under my table, and also when I was I had some black magic out here on me. I was having these looping thoughts. I know who sent it too. And my friend out here that's a Reiki master, she's also a white witch, and she had 4 sticks of selenite around her massage table because I was like, "Can you move this off? He keeps putting this hook in me. I was doing real good, and now I keep hearing thoughts about him looping." And as soon as I stepped inside of the selenite grid, I could feel that wasn't the first time as I've had, that was the second attack I've had in Iowa. I could feel a snake like coming from my pubic bone all the way up to my sternum. Yeah, it was
Dude.
inside of me. I'm like, what
Yeah.
the heck? And I was yelling her name. I'm like, get back here! There's a snake in me. What the hell?
Wow. Snake.
Because the last time it was a squid in my uterus that somebody tried to send me, and this is some of these SSP people doing black magic sending this crap. And when she did that, after I stepped inside, there was this hologram of the old man who was in charge of a lot of us on Mars, and he was standing there screaming at her to effing stop it the whole time. And it was weird because it kept going from like a jungle camo from Vietnam to like the newer digital, like it was weird. Um, and he would look older and younger, but he was this hologram, and she could hear him screaming and see him too. But she's also Fae and connected with the angels. Um, but she just kept going and ignored him, and that was really weird. But I really like the powers, so like, because I'll just use this like cutting cords. Okay, do that. Go get my sage. And if you're gonna sage everything, I've also got a I like these things that Bill has. Oh, shit, this violet ray is supposed to be um Tesla technology. I'll turn it on so you can see.
I like it. Live demo.
These things are pretty neat. This is what powers that thing over there. But it makes like ozone, yeah, just shock a little bit. But the first place I would start is on your feet because he was making a joke out of it, but I was he's like, go get in bed and use it on the bottom of your feet. So I did, and when I did, I could see these things that look like tumbleweeds. Two of them were all the way from my ankles. They were real faint. Um, but it'll get rid of a lot of things that don't like the frequency, which is good because you don't want those things on you anyway.
What's
Because
that
one
called?
day it's a it's it's a violet ray. I've
Okay.
actually got one connected to a pyramid in the basement, and actually raises the vibration of the whole house, which was kind of wild because when I had one of my local clients come in and I had that on in the basement, because I felt like I was vibrating higher too. When I was working on her, I worked on her for years. She was actually kind of purring, and I was like, "Does it feel that good?" She's like, "Yes," because I'm just pulling pouring my. I was doing my Femon healing, and that's right. Reiki, just pouring all the golden light into her that I could, and because she was real depressed, and I was trying to bliss her out, and that was one of the things I usually warn people that you're going to feel high, if especially if you come and see me in
Oh,
person, because you're gonna well, when you're everything's moving the way it's supposed to and you're not used to it, it's gonna make you feel high because you're
right.
used to things being blocked and be like, wow, I feel so good.
Exactly. Yeah, we're so used to having low energy, I think, just as human beings in general. It's very low from the stuff they put in our food or water, all that. You know that spiel. I always say it. We only have a couple minutes, but well, I'll ask you the one thing about snakes, I guess, a messenger, because we don't have that much time. But can you tell everybody if you have anything upcoming or where they can find you or any website?
Let me say, first of all, that in the chat on YouTube, I put the links to 2 different websites, and that's also in the show notes for on YouTube for those of you who are on X and watching. And we'll post them on X as well. But tell us where people can find you outside of your 2 websites.
Um, I'm on Facebook as Susan Long. I have a private page, The Phoenix. I have a Divine Connections with Susan, which mostly like my herbal stuff and stuff I sell on TikTok. And then I have IG page. Actually, I have 2 of them. One's my First Wave Indigo Soul Star one, which is mostly my products and stuff. And then there's the Phoenix one. But I'm going to be speaking at the Disclosure Now conference again in July this year.
Cool.
I really need to work on some books so I can be like a major speaker. I think that's what's holding me back. But just the thought of sitting there and typing out all this stuff just seems so tedious and boring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess they can also email me. What am I? Divine Connections 144 at gmail.com. But I'm not really good at answering emails.
Me either at all.
Yep. Well, listen, it was terrific.
Very
We
nice.
were very glad, but there's too much stuff, so you'll have to come back
Yeah.
sometime soon. We'll work it out with you. And as we say goodnight to our audience, please hang around after so that we can chat.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for being here. We really, really enjoyed it.